Jude. On top of my
170.
screen, yeah, on top of my screen is Neil. So he's here again in another episode, and we're gonna talk about TCG stuff. And
Mhm.
for episode number 170, we're gonna talk about the most broken cards in Yu-Gi-Oh and Magic the Gathering. So you know, um,
Sheesh.
every now and then there are pieces of cardboard in TCGs that have texts that are so ridiculously broken that they change the meta around them, and sometimes you just have to ban them. You just have not to allow them to play a certain piece of cardboard. So, you know, Magic the Gathering is like almost 30 years of worth of cards. Yu-Gi-Oh is like 20 years worth of cards, and they have like, let's just say they've banned a good amount of their cards in different formats, whether it be competitive. In Yu-Gi-Oh, it's OCG, TCG, and Magic. It's just a lot of formats. It's just a ton. Uh,
It's
that's
just
what's
funny.
great about Magic. You play different formats and enjoy one of them, one or two of them, and just chill. So
Mhm.
Yu-Gi-Oh has pretty much no chill except if you play like the unofficial old school formats. But yeah, I think the first question, Neil, we can answer here is why are cards banned in TCG? So I guess I said that the written text on the card speaks for itself sometimes,
Yeah.
but I
We
guess
have we have a meme in Magic. It's done by one of our most popular content creators, the professor from Tulare Community College. There is a little meme that he created. It's called "Reading the Card Explains the Card." And usually, when you read the card, you're like, "Oh crap!" Yeah. So
Mhm. So
so
yeah.
some cards are just ridiculously powerful. The cards that we're some of the cards we're about to discuss today are not banned. Some of are actually banned, and
Mhm.
we'll just tell you just how, or if they are, but then some of them are on the ban, like they are bordering on getting banned. Let's just say that. So
This is
that
I guess these are cards that people complain about often when they see it. Like, why is this here?
generally, yeah,
It's just
generally,
I mean, for the ones I have, they used to be played in Yu-Gi-Oh, but I
mm,
decided that I can only add one card that was recently banned and was very
yes,
usable. Until now, it's usable in Master Duel, so that's one thing where you can see it. The digital cardboard version of Yu-Gi-Oh can play this,
yes,
so it's really good. But before we have like we have honorable mentions and we have our respective top fives for each
yes.
trading card game. So let's start with honorable mentions, and I'll go with my very first one here: Predaplant Verte Anaconda. So this card is okay. Story time. This card is part of the Predaplant archetype, but it's the thing is at the height of its powers, it was used in every deck.
Okay,
Okay, the reason why you need two
but
materials. Uh-huh.
this is a ritual, right? It looks ritually. The
No, no, no.
frame.
It's a link monster.
Oh, I don't know. I know zero. I haven't played Yu-Gi-Oh since GX, so
Yeah.
my
So this is
knowledge
a
is
link. This is a link card, and link cards have
okay.
arrows that are pointing to it. So usually the arrows have like effects. Have
Mhm.
like bonus. Like if a card points to that arrow, they're immune to damage or they're immune to destruction, something like that. Um, but sometimes they're just there. Arrows are just there. So when you summon another link, you can summon the link monster on that arrow only. So
Yep.
it's pretty much dependent on that. The reason why this is in every deck, it's because you only need two effect monsters to make this. And one of the decks I run, Cyber Dragon, they make this easily. We make this easy. Like you just need two effect monsters. How hard is that? It's barely anything. It's
Mhm.
like you can make two. You can summon two effect monsters without even trying sometimes. So, um, the effect of this card is it acts like a fusion card substitute. So it sends a fusion card to the graveyard. It copies the effect, and you can fusion out of the gate with that. And then all you have to do is pay 2,000 life points.
Just a drop in the pocket,
Yeah,
generally.
it's barely anything. You only need one life point to win in Yu-Gi-Oh. You need at least one life point in Yu-Gi-Oh. That's like one thing people forget when thinking about life points. apart from that, after you fusion summon, you can't summon anything from the rest of the turn. And you think, okay, that's not bad. It restricts you from summoning. But the thing is, people use this last. This is your coup de grace moment. Like if you summon everything else before this, it's that broken. This was banned like a few months ago in both formats because everyone uses this and everyone uses the same fusion spell and fusion card in their decks. And that was and the argument here is that sure, this card alone turns a lot of low tier decks into rogue or even tier
Okay.
2. But the thing is, it makes the tier 1 decks even more tier 1. So like how are you're not balancing the game. Sure. Like in my example Cyber Dragon, it's rogue because of this card.
Yeah.
But the thing is, it makes every other deck super busted that, this is their fallback option and it's annoying.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that's
Uh,
that's a problem.
that's also jumping off on that. I think a lot of the bans in card formats generally, aside from the fact that they are broken as you read through the card. I think it's also generally bans are done for the health of the format because
Yeah,
part of the
it
fun of
does.
playing TCG, part of the fun of playing TCG games is that you're able to craft or build a deck that you would want and just run it out of and just run whatever strategy you want.
Mhm.
And one of the things that because I play Magic the Gathering and I'm much more familiar with EDH, the social Elder Dragon Highlander format and the commander rules group, the CAG basically, commander advisor group, pretty much they ban cards because it's for the health of the format. And one of the things that they always look for is they don't want to homogenize deck building.
Mhm.
Don't want the same 10, 20 cards slotted into every single deck because what's the point in playing the card game if everyone just runs the same thing? So I can definitely see why in Yu-Gi-Oh from the most powerful deck to the most janky, stupid decks, they just put it in just so it to just raise the power level. I can see why it would be
Yeah.
banned
Like
generally.
I think if you're wondering, there's one card that's really powerful that's in every deck right now in any format. It's Ash Blossom in Joyous Spring. All it
Mhm,
does, it's a general anti-search card.
mhm.
So if you try to search a card from deck, you can negate that. If you try to summon something from deck, you can negate that. And if you try to send something from deck to graveyard, you can negate that, which are all
Yeah,
universal effects. And
yeah.
every deck must have it. And if you can't play to one of those negates, your deck is bad. That's one way to define it. Like
Okay.
you're worse than rogue if you can't play to more than one negate in Yu-Gi-Oh, which is painful. But yeah,
Mhm.
Verte Anaconda is an honorable mention because it was only banned just a few months ago.
Okay.
And yeah, this is really RIP to this. I like this card though. it's the
The,
I
the card art is really good.
Yeah, but it makes every other deck too good. So like you really
Yeah,
have to just
it
hit the
just
axe.
yeah.
So that's bad here. I think your honorable mention here. Oh no 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 no
Oh
no
no,
no
that's
no
not my
no.
honorable
It's
mention. No, no, no,
it's
no.
oh wait.
Spoiler.
Let's give that I wasn't able to send it, or was it here?
Oh yeah. Okay.
No. Ah, okay.
You know
Oh,
what?
oh,
Okay,
oh.
sure.
So your honorable mention here is Cyclonic Rift. One of them is Cyclonic
One of them,
Rift.
yeah. So just to preface, a lot of the cards that I'm about to share are not banned, but they are legal in Commander, not playable in certain formats because certain formats in Magic are not eternal formats, which means you can't. Magic has a format called EDH, like I said, and you can play all the cards from the card game's history for that matter. So you can't really police thousands upon thousands of cards, but you can take out the ones that can just absolutely break the format. This is one of those cards that never really saw a ban, although people will always bring it up whenever say, "Oh, we need to ban something. We need to ban this card." Because I will probably say these are the most salt-inducing cards in Magic, for that matter. Cyclonic Rick and EDA is now if you look at the normal casting costs, if you look at the top, can we scroll up to the top of the card?
Oh, yeah, sure. Here.
It's one generic mana and a blue mana. So basically, just pay 2 mana, and basically the normal effect is you will return target non-land permanent you don't own back to its owner's hand. Now, can we scroll down?
Oh
Now, the
yeah,
reason
here.
why Cyclonic Rift is feared in Magic is because of the overload cost. Overload cost is an alternative cost in Magic. So instead of paying the 2 mana, you can just pay 6 generic plus 1 blue. And Magic players usually see blue players if they see 7 mana open in a table. An overloaded Cyclonic Rift means it's a one-sided board wipe. And Magic the Gathering EDH, where it's four players going up against each other. If one table can just bounce back, they can just wipe the board clear of everyone's cards on the table and put them back in their hands. The one who played Cyclonic Rift usually there's no downside to this. Everyone has to reset their tables while you already have an established board state. It
Mhm.
is so absolutely salt inducing because imagine everyone has such a great board. Someone who plays an overloaded Cyclonic Rift, and suddenly the person who played it has a board. Everyone else has nothing. And they will take a very long time of setting up what they used to have. Or even worse, the people who had their cards returned to their hands now have to discard their hands. So everything that went back to the hand, oh crap, I have to discard this. They're
Oh
all gone.
man.
And that's just one of the things that happen
it's
in the
it's
game.
it looks annoying because yeah, returning stuff to your hand is just no. I wanna keep this on field.
And the worst thing about it is that there are ways to break this. There are ways to break this, and sometimes right after immediately playing this, people would play a wheel, or people would play discard your hand size or discard everything. So it's one of those annoying blue cards that people absolutely hate seeing on the table because it's become a staple. If people could add, if blue players or any deck with blue could add Cyclonic Rift in their deck, one of the usually the higher powered ones usually add it in because there's no downside to this. At its lowest for a 2 drop, you can just bounce it off. As a 7 drop, it's just really good for you.
Yeah,
So
it's
yeah,
just
that's what
too
it
much.
does.
Okay. Next one you have is Time Warp. Okay, Time
Time,
Warp.
yeah, Time Warp, yeah.
Oh
This
man.
one, uh, Time Warp is one of the cards that are extremely powerful. I mean, people would say, "Oh, they're not broken, what have you," but then there are a lot of there are a lot of extra turn decks in Magic. But now a lot of those extra turn cards could be exiled. Time Warp, usually when you play an extra turn card, it usually goes back to some of them go straight to exile. Time Warp is one of those cards. If you see a blue player playing this, expect that they will somehow recur this from their graveyard and play it again and again and again and again. It becomes a game of solitaire at that point. So
Oh no, yeah, well, that's what modern Yu-Gi-Oh has a problem with, like long combos. And I see the word extra turn. I feel scared now.
yeah, I mean, it's not the most broken card in everything that I've submitted, but then I just want to put this in because Time Warp of all the other extra turn spells, and Magic has done a good job now at creating extra turn spells that exile themselves, that they can't be abused anymore. However, this is one of those that remained in the unbanned and totally abusable card list because
I, I I
there's
see
a lot
the I see the cost isn't really that much. It doesn't
I
really.
mean, it depends. It depends on the colors that you're playing. But if you could time warp and then bring back the time warp next turn, you're good. You are good. You'll be fine.
Okay, I
People
think
play,
we
yeah,
yeah.
people play this with Mystic Sanctuary, and it just goes. And people be like, "Let's start making tea." Go on a tiny chat. Let's go.
Yeah, it's one of those. Like there are times like when I play Yu-Gi-Oh! Master Duel, I just
Mm,
check my phone while waiting for my opponent to just finish their
mm,
board, and I just
yeah.
solve it after they're done. Like, okay, guys, okay, thanks for finishing. Next up is Faceless Haven. So this is a snowland. Oh, it looks nice though.
It looks nice. It's a really cool. It's a really cool land. It's snow permanents are a type of permanents in Magic. Now this is not banned in Commander, but I'd like to add some. But I want to share something that is actually banned in the standard format. Because in standard, in Magic, there's no way to remove lands in Magic. So usually what happens is that this combos with a card called the Book of Exalted Deeds. And what happens is that when this becomes a creature, the Book of Exalted Deeds will put a counter on this land, which is now a creature, that will stop you from losing the game. And of course,
Mhm.
in Magic, the point is to to take someone's life to zero or somehow win the game through some combo, what have you. This is banned in standard for one good reason, because in the standard format of Magic, even though you have multiples of four in one deck or what have you, you can't. There's no land removal in standard. So once this gets the effect from Book of Exalted Deeds, the player who played Faceless Haven cannot lose the game. There's no
No.
way that they would. So it's just play whatever you want. You can deck out your deck. You can do anything. I will not lose the game. So it's just one of those things that reinforces the things that they ban in a card format, where one, they ban things because it's not healthy for the casual format or what have you, or they ban things because the format in question just has no way with dealing with these cards. There's no interaction, nothing that can just remove this from the game, and it's not fair for the olders to play the game. So
I would
it's one
understand. So
because
next
people
up,
don't play the
uh-huh.
land description. So yeah.
Yeah. So next up, we have our fifth on the magic. So
Okay.
Darkseid Extortionist. It's a creature.
Okay.
Nice.
It's a creature. It's a cool creature. And I mean, and I like it because he's like extorting treasures from people. But the reason why this is Dark Side Extortionist, if you look at Reddit, if you look at any Magic forum, the reason why it's always in the conversations for banning, and it was recently reprinted. This is a chase card actually. This is a chase card
Oh,
in Magic,
nice.
and one of the higher
Okay.
priced ones, mainly because it's a 2-drop, and when it hits
Mm-hmm.
the battlefield, you will create treasure tokens, which basically give you mana.
Wait.
With a
X is
number,
the number. Oh, wait. No, I understand how many that you can make a ton of tokens with this. If I read this correctly.
and not just that, and well, the reason why it's the fifth in the list because even though people hate this card, it could whiff. Because for example, if you're on a table with players playing creatures only, you'll be lucky to get 1 or 2 mana off of it.
Yeah, I would.
And a table where, for example, you're going up against an enchantment deck or a deck that has set up a table already, the usual average that you get from Dockside is 5 to 10 mana. That's that's too much for a 2-drop. One red, one generic. So basically, the more powerful the power level that you're playing in Commander, the higher the upside for Dockside would be. And usually, even if it just gives you 3 or 4 mana, that puts you ahead of a lot of players. So
Yeah.
it's one of the more powerful 2 drops in Magic, and it just it's I personally play Dockside, but some people don't like Dockside because the upswing is just an upswing. You know,
Yeah,
if
it
you
it
get two
changed.
mana, if you get 2 mana, break even. 3 mana, that's good. 4 mana, oh, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Oh, where
I imagine seeing a face of relief if you like top deck this on your turn. Like, oh my god,
yeah,
okay, just drop it and
you just up it.
oh,
And people,
uh,
and here's the
mhm.
thing, people, the response to this will be countering it. But if you don't counter it, removing it doesn't do anything because it already gave you its effect because
Yeah,
it repeats the effect.
like the
So
damage has been done. Like you have the
damage,
tokens there. Like you
yeah,
have the mana. You have
I
the
have the treasure. Yeah.
you have like the resources already, and it's just crazy. Add one
And I
mana
like,
of
and
any
I just like
color.
the,
That's
yeah, and I just like the art because he's like, hey, hey, I got my thing already. I'm a bounce. So
Well,
yeah.
to be fair, goblins in Yu-Gi-Oh are also this devious. So anything goblin related. But this guy's this wild.
But the reason why it's also hated because Darkseid in red is pretty good. But when you add in other colors like white and blue, where you bounce and put it back on the battlefield, or flicker, we have this thing in Magic called flickering. Basically, you exile it and it returns back to the battlefield.
Oh my god, no!
Basically, people can combo with this, like they just bounce it back in their hand. For
Mhm.
example, they play Darkseid, they get free treasures,
Uh,
and they have an effect that bounces it back in hand. I'll pay 2 mana
you
to
can
bounce it back.
reset the play, right?
You can reset. So basically, you will always net, even if you can net an extra, for example, it costs you 2 to replay it again,
Mhm.
you will always have 1 extra mana, and you can just keep piling up on all the treasures until you
Yeah.
win the game.
So does flickering, does bringing it out again by flickering reset the effect too?
Yeah, so basically, when it comes
Okay.
back,
Oh my god.
for example, the first time it gave you 5 treasures, you spend 2 to put it back to your hand, you spend 2 to put it back in the battlefield, you will always net an extra mana.
Okay.
Then you repeat it again, more and more and more and more and more.
Okay. I think I
Drops,
can explain. That's cool.
yeah,
Shit.
yeah, it's cool shit. But but when you're going up against it, the
It
person
sucks.
who's playing it is just gonna start playing solitaire and going, I'm just gonna keep bouncing it until I have unlimited mana, or keep abusing it. Darkseid is powerful when you play it as a one-off.
Hmm.
People already get salty as a one-off, but if you can keep bringing it back again and again and again and again, and
Yeah,
again,
just as long
that's
as
when
you have
people
a
are
way to
like,
just keep it alive.
yeah, or no, you can kill. No, there are stuff in Magic where you can kill it, then bring it back.
Oh yeah.
Equally just bad, because all it needs to do is to just hit the battlefield, and you're like,
Mhm.
so you can see
I
why
understand.
people ban Darkseid.
Okay, I think it's nice way to explain here something in Yu-Gi-Oh. There's two kinds of the most broken cards in Yu-Gi-Oh. Don't uh don't have this text.
Yeah.
Most Yu-Gi-Oh cards are balanced by being by having the statement that can only be used once per turn.
Ah.
Like okay, there's two kinds. There's hard once per turn and there's soft once per turn. Hard once per turn is you can only use one copy of this card per turn. So if you summon another one or if you try to activate, you can't. The soft
Mhm.
one, the soft once per turn resets every time you bring out a different copy or every time you try to revive. So Dockside
Ah,
is kind of like the soft once per turn, but it doesn't have the once per turn. So you do it on a loop. You
yeah.
do it on that crazy loop. So that's kind of interesting.
Uh,
It's
so Magic also has that. Magic recently has been introducing cards that have powerful effects, but this ability only activates once per turn. So what
yeah.
do other players do? You know what? I will flicker it because it will come back as a new permanent. So even though it
See,
happens once per turn, we'll see it. This hasn't seen it before, so I will.
yeah.
Haha.
See,
Like,
like no matter what you do, there's always a way in TCGs to just break a certain card, despite the
yep,
restrictions that are imposed on the text,
yep.
because there are other cards that will break it even more. Okay, now speaking of breaking, this is on Return from the Different Dimension. So,
Okay,
okay, this was once a card that's used in a tier zero strategy
okay.
where what you do is you pay half your life points, return a shitload of banished monsters to the field, use them as material or use them as like monsters to attack your opponent for game.
Yeah,
And then in the end phase, you banish all of them special summon. But it doesn't matter if you banish them because you're gonna use them for summoning material. Or you're gonna use them to go into lethal and win the game.
yeah.
That end phase effect doesn't matter. But the um this was once used in a deck that banishes a lot of cards.
Yeah.
It was called Teledad. It's
Okay,
Dark Art Dragon, which banishes 3 cards for you to summon it,
okay.
and you just bring back the 3 banished cards, go for game, and just you know win. I guess.
This is a card I would love in Magic, because there are cards in Magic that get exiled.
Yeah.
Because in Magic, especially in EDH, once it's exiled, it's gone forever. So if you could
Yeah.
get anything that was exiled back, I'd be like, whoo,
Yeah,
wee!
it's like it's chef's kiss kind of level. Like boom,
Yeah,
you just win. Okay, I think it's worth noting that there's an archetype that has a card that's similar to this that
yeah,
brings back at most 4 banished monsters and use all of those monsters to link summon one
okay.
monster their boss monster. And people hate that card because it summons on it activates on the opponent's turn.
Oh, okay.
So, and then the boss monster they bring back has the ability to banish one card upon someone. So if they banish a combo piece, kills your hopes of doing something. But yeah, but the thing is, it's not banned because it only works for one archetype.
Okay.
Sure, that archetype is really really good, really consistent, but good thing it's only there. But sometimes there are in archetype cards that are still banned. So thankfully it's not that one. It's to be fair, it feels fair when you see it because it only summons one boss monster. It doesn't summon an entire field.
Yeah.
But yeah, this one, Return from the Different Dimension, it's basically a coup de grace card.
Okay. So when you see
and
it, that's it. Kill it right
and
away.
yeah,
That's all
and
I'm
a
saying.
lot of decks can use this. A lot of decks can use this. I can imagine this. I can imagine this being used in a good amount of decks I have, even as
Mm.
a one-off. Like, sure, it's a niche one-off activation, but if I summon this, I at least can defend myself or just make sure I have enough damage output to win. And yeah, this won't be this won't be unbanned anytime soon, or not even at one. Not even at one. Like people will find ways to just abuse this even at one. There are cards that can search trap cards. I would believe so.
Oh,
So
tutors.
okay.
Yeah.
Next one we have Hull Breacher for
Ah,
Magic the Gathering.
yes. This is
So
actually a recently banned card, Hull Breacher.
oh wait, how
This
how recently is recently on this?
this was recent. Literally, I think. Let me check Hull Breacher's banning. I think it was round about 2021. This
Okay.
card released, I think, end of 2020 or some round about that time. And literally a month or two after this was released, the commander group suddenly banned this. Why? Now you may look. Now, a Hull Breacher is a free drop. It's a free drop creature, and it has flash, so it can be played at instant speed. Now, generally would see, oh, it's fine because whenever an opponent would draw a card, except the first one that they draw in each of their draw steps, you will get treasure instead. So
Mhm.
basically, it's a punish. It punishes people who like to draw a lot of cards. So it comes in at flash speed, which is insane, and then so
Oh,
on,
okay.
on its own, it's already powerful because it's like, for example, if a player, I'm going to draw 20 cards this turn. You play this, they do not get that 20 cards, and for a free drop, you will get 20 mana. Instead of them drawing 20, you would get 20 treasures.
Oh my god. So okay. You
Or for
plus
example,
off your supposed plus, I guess.
yeah. So basically, that's already bad. But people saw this as a defensive way to punish draw decks, and they're like, okay, that's fine, that's fine. It's sort of balanced, even though we don't like the flash. But the reason why this was banned in Commander is because of one simple reason: wheels. People would play Hull Breacher and then play a wheel. Basically, everyone in the table will basically discard the entire hand and draw a fresh set of cards. But what
No.
happens is they don't draw the 7 that they're supposed to draw. The person who played Hull Breacher will instead get 21 mana.
No.
Basically, the people who are on the receiving end of Hull Breacher, they have no hands, no nothing. Meanwhile, the person who played Hull Breacher, he just spent 20 mana to just get. Sorry, he just spent 3 mana to get an effect that could lock out anyone from the game and give them
Okay.
an insane amount of mana along the way.
Okay. Now I get why this one is banned. So
And
I
it,
understand completely.
and normally this combo usually happens. This usually happens in CEDH, competitive EDH, because in Commander there are two. I would say there are multiple power levels of Magic, but then there's casual and then there's CEDH. Now in CEDH you'd see this and it's fine because CEDH is top tier cutthroat magic.
Yeah,
This
that's
is
that's
like the most
fine.
interactive magic ever. But then people started playing this wheeling Hull Breacher effect in casual, and casual Commander is meant to be a fun place where you can play Magic with your
Yeah,
friends and what have you.
you're supposed to chill and
I mean, there are more high-powered levels of casual play, but
yeah,
then it
there.
came to a point where people would just play this and not, but it just breaks the spirit of the casual format, where it's
Mhm.
like we're just here to hang out, and suddenly you're playing. It became oppressive in tables that people want to just take this out because it's not fun. It's not fun to be playing up against a hull breacher and then wheeling. It's very much like Darkseid. These are strong cards on their own, but then people are able to break it, and it's like it doesn't make it fun anymore.
Yeah,
So
you're gonna hate them when you see them, and it's
yeah,
just sad. So
and
I understand because anti-draw anything in Yu-Gi-Oh is very powerful because you stop getting plus
yeah,
off of it. So like you're
and this
just
is worse because not only you shut down their draw, you can force them to draw, get nothing, and you get all the treasures in the world. So
basically you had them mill some cards and just no reward from it. So like
no,
no,
yeah, no, it's just nothing. No,
it's a
there's no draw.
okay. I would understand and hate this, and I guess Flash regard is the speed of the effect. So
It's the
it's
speed of the effect. That's the ridiculous thing about it.
okay. I think yeah, in Yu-Gi-Oh there's spell speed. Essentially spell speed it just defines like the fastest one are counter traps.
Counter
Then
traps.
there's quick play, and then the ones with no like the ones with no speed go is just spell speed one. So like yeah, I would
Yeah,
understand because seeing the speed of this effect is just
yeah.
no. If this were slower, it wouldn't be as bad.
Because people can remove it. They see, oh, that's your game plan. We'll focus on you. We'll kill
Oh
you.
yeah, diba?
Guys,
You can,
guys, he's the arch enemy. He's playing Hull Breacher. We killed it. We're gonna kill this dude, right? And what
but
made people salty about this? It's in blue, and blue has so many
no,
things. You've seen Cyclonic Rift already. Though, and a lot of the blue stuff can get pretty gnarly. So you add this to blue, it's like why give a color that stops everyone's decks even more stuff to stops everyone's decks? It's not fun. So yeah. That's why personally as a player, I hate mono blue players. I hate mono blue players. We kill them on site because we can't play our decks because of them, generally. I'm sorry. Yeah, I'm good.
yeah, it's fine.
It's
So
very
Hull
it's very
Breacher is
frustrating.
really good. It's yeah, I would
Yeah.
understand. Like you just stop, you just it's like a stop dead in its tracks kind of card. It's annoying.
Yeah.
Where are we? Number four. Okay,
Number
number four
four.
is
That's
Mystic
you go.
Mine. So Mystic Mine. Okay, here's one thing about the next two cards. This one is banned in
Mhm.
OCG, the Asian format, the original format. But this one is at three in Western, in TCG, in the West.
Okay.
I'll explain later. The next card explains the end. Okay, so
Okay.
Mystic Mine is. Let me just remove the. If your opponent controls more monsters than you do, your opponent cannot activate monster effects or declare an attack. On the
Ah,
flip side, if you control more monsters than your opponent does, you cannot activate monster effects or declare an attack. Once per turn during the end phase, if both players control the same number of monsters, destroy this card. But the
okay.
thing is, control decks use this. They don't bring out anything. They just put one monster or even zero. People put zero because if you have zero, that counts.
Okay.
That counts as a number. Zero. Oh, so that means that you can't do anything. You turn Yu-Gi-Oh into a staring contest, and that would last for multiple turns until you have like a ton of cards in your hand and you can do your play.
Okay.
Okay, recently this card was used in a strategy that helped win the recent YCS, the Yu-Gi-Oh Championship Series.
Mhm.
And their job was to turbo this out as early as possible using search spells
Okay.
or draw power. So you just make sure you just oh my god, I'm at a disadvantage. I slap Mystic Mine and just stare until I think there was like a duel log. There are people who record event duels in competitive
Yeah.
events, and then the the next 10 turns were just he passed. Okay. And that's why there's an argument to banning this in TCG because in OCG in Asia this is banned.
Hmm.
So yeah, it slows down the game too much,
Yeah.
and it's just annoying to deal with because you need to have removal and go out of your way to just throw this out or even bounce it at the very least. Put it back to the hand so you can do something. But the thing is, most Yu-Gi-Oh decks right now center around monster effects.
Okay.
It says you can't activate monster effects. which means that you can't activate. People think that, oh, that means I can activate from hand, right? No, you can't
Okay.
activate anywhere, which is worse. And it's bad. It's just it's toxic, and
Hmm.
um some people say this is okay to have, but
Yeah.
it's two sides of the coin. I could have put another card that's like as bad as this, but this one is like takes the cake in TCG.
I can totally see why, but then as a Magic player, we have so many stacks effects that, oh, you can only play one spell per turn. There are so many effects like these. Oh, you can't attack unless you pay two, or you can't, or you won't take damage if you have five. There's so many effects like this in Magic that I can totally see why in a fast format like Yu-Gi-Oh, and because Yu-Gi-Oh, especially modern
Yeah,
Yu-Gi-Oh,
Yu-Gi-Oh is
so
usually a
it's so
short
much
game.
faster. It's usually a short game, so I can see why I could usually see why people wouldn't want to see this. But then I think it's also a general difference in culture. I think between the West and the East, where
Yeah,
in East it's more it's efficiency. We want to get one game in out
yeah.
as
Okay,
soon as possible.
that's a good way
Compared to
to like define it.
compared to the West, where West is used to stacks effects. West is used to Magic the Gathering. It's West that uses all these formats. So maybe they looked at other card formats where you have taxing effects that could punish certain strategies.
Mhm.
And I could see the West saying, then let's give these sort of archetype decks a chance of winning rather than letting the creature decks
Okay,
crowd the meta.
okay. I think one way to define it is that
Yeah,
TCG, the West, they hate draw. They limit draw cards.
yeah,
They limit cards that allow you to draw more. But
yeah,
in OCG, like, yeah, this is free game. You can draw. You can draw. Like, they don't restrict too many draw cards. Like,
yeah,
I think, yeah. And TCG prefers cards that have costs.
yeah,
So I think that, yeah, I think that carries over to like the
yeah,
original TCG mindset, which is Magic. Having a lot of cost to do stuff,
yeah,
and
yeah. And not
because
just that,
mhm.
in Magic the Gathering, one of the biggest things that people talk about, if you look at YouTube channels, people always talk about the term of card advantage.
Yeah,
Because
Yu-Gi-Oh,
people
Yu-Gi-Oh TCG loves that the word card advantage.
basically because because people like to draw. So the more information you get, the more you go through your deck, the more options you have. So I think that's a mindset that West, even in Flesh and Blood and all these other card games, it's a thing. Being able to have have as many cards as you can, or being able to play as many cards as you have, instead of having like rapid fire whatever games that you have. It makes sense in terms of the culture. I suppose that's how
Yeah,
I see it as an outsider who hasn't played Yu-Gi-Oh since GX.
yeah, but
Looking,
it makes sense because even though TCG feels a bit slower, it's still fast, like still fast
mhm,
paced. But they have stuff that just they have this. They have Mystic Mind that just turns the game into a crawl, into like
yeah,
your foot is now stuck in the mud and you have to wait like
yeah.
15 turns to do something. Okay.
Mm.
Next up we have Hull Breacher, we had Mystic Mind. Next up we have number three, which is where are you? Oh, no. Number three is Ristic Study.
630,
So
yeah.
I like this art. This is the
Uh,
arcane version art. So
this
this
is
is
the
cool.
arcane version. So Magic, a little introduction to why does this not look like a normal Magica? Why does this look like Jay and Victor from Arcane from Netflix? Uh, because Magic occasionally has these things called secret lair drops, where they do crossovers of times, or they do alternate arts of certain cards. In this case, Magic tied up with Arcane and made this card. Now, why is Risk Study number three? Now, this is a Commander legal card, and the reason why I put it in number three is because of one thing. Can you bring up to the mana cost?
Oh yeah, wait.
The mana cost is two generics and one blue. So basically, you can pay free mana as long as one of those has blue mana in it. And Mystic Study says whenever an opponent casts a spell, draw a card unless they pay one. So basically, cast a spell. If an opponent plays an enchantment, an artifact, a creature, and not a land, they you can draw a card as long as that player doesn't pay one. Now, usually, this is one of the more annoying effects in Magic because every time One, people don't like it because they made a meme card out of it because people always ask, "Do you pay the one? Do you pay the one? Do you pay the one?" So one, it's annoying to see someone asking, you played a spell. Do you pay the one? Do you pay the one?" But the thing is, the person who plays Ristic Study, this is really good, especially in early game, because no one pays the one. So if the blue player gets to draw like 4 cards or 7 cards already out of this, people just end up not paying the one anymore.
Yeah, they don't pay and they just throw it away now. It
They just
works.
keep drawing it and drawing it and drawing it and drawing it and drawing it. Ristic Study usually doesn't get paid, or usually gets it's a great way to bait counters, but then if it stays on the battlefield, it's just card advantage for whoever plays it. Because there's always one person, at least one person, who wouldn't pay it, and you'd be able to draw.
Okay. Okay. No, it reminds me of a Yu-Gi-Oh card that's banned. Oh,
Mm.
it's another card that's banned in TCG and banned in unbanned in OCG. It's called Chicken Game. Chicken Game is Chicken Game. Wait. It's I should have added this one too as an argument.
Yeah,
This is another card advantage argument. Um,
yeah.
this is another card advantage argument card. So let me pull up oh no, that's too
Oh
tough.
yeah. And while you're looking for Chicken Game, the reason why it's also incredibly powerful because there are cards
And
like this, like Mystic Remora, that says you can draw a card unless an opponent pays 4, but it's only restricted by the fact that an opponent has to play a non-creature spell.
uh-huh.
The Mystic Study, it's any spell. Any spell is fair game. Or there are cards in Magic, enchantments in Magic, that lets you draw a card, but you have to fulfill a condition. Like you have to be able to attack with a creature, or opponent has to attack another person to draw a card. There are other effects. For Mystic Study, it's just an opponent will play something. Do you pay the one? You don't? Oh, okay, I draw. There's no downside to playing Mystic Study. And all decks with blue in it will usually run Mystic Study if they could afford it and if they can put it in because it's really good card advantage. And
Okay, so this is chicken game. So, okay, the first effect is the player with the lowest life points takes no damage. But the thing is, once per turn, each player can pay 1,000 life points. So this is one
yeah,
of the rare cards that both the opponent and you can use. You can pay
okay,
1,000 to draw one card. You can pay 1,000 to destroy this card. You can pay
that's
1,000
that's
to give your opponent life points, so you can protect yourself with its effect.
okay.
But the thing is, TCG banned this because of the draw one card. They hate drawing
Yeah,
cards. It's funny. It's just a funny interaction. But
yeah.
I just like this card because it allows you to just do weird, wacky shit with your opponent. If you decide to both of you guys decide to just, oh, we're gonna keep drawing, but we
Yeah.
can't really do damage to each other, can't we? So it's just funny. It's just really funny. I like the interaction. I just don't have it because it's a high rarity card, so it's
Mm,
expensive. Next up we have Afteristic Study. We have another draw power card that is banned
okay.
in TCG, but at 3 in OCG, and I need to have this to be competitive to have a competitively viable deck. So
Okay.
okay, Maxi is one of the C cards. It's cockroach. C is for cockroach.
Okay.
In
Okay.
Japanese, it's G. I forgot the Japanese word for cockroach in Japan. I forgot the Japanese, but it's G in Japan.
Yeah.
This is the most powerful C card. So during either player's turn, you can send this card from your hand to graveyard as activation and cost. This turn, each time your opponent special summons a monster, draw one card.
Just a moment. I think I know. Gokiburi. I
Yeah,
think.
Gokibori. Yes,
Yeah.
Gokibori. Yeah.
Because in my
So
head, it's not the beetle. It's not the beetle. Goki.
yeah. So what you do with this, whenever your opponent activates a special summon, before they special summon, you activate this. So when they special summon, you gain +1 already, plus a new card. It's not +1. It's hand
Mm.
neutral, as they say.
I mean,
But usually in modern Yu-Gi-Oh, you can. summon like 5 monsters.
Yep.
If you decide to do that and if you decide to choose that and just summon as many under this effect, your opponent gains 5 new cards plus four,
Okay.
I guess. Um, there's something called the Maxi challenge
Yeah.
because there are some decks that can play through this and still OT kill you in 1 turn, no matter how many cards you have in your hand. Okay,
Sheesh.
but sometimes you activate this to kill your opponent's turn because if they do decide to summon anything, you gain advantage of it. So
Okay.
the best way to not gain advantage is to just do nothing. This is the equivalent of the Mystic Mine
Yeah.
card in OCG, but this is draw power. So like, would
Uh,
you would you um would you pay the cost of giving your opponent more advantage, or you make your board decide? So mostly people skip their turn with this.
and I totally get why, because limited formats where
Yeah,
limited formats just like that, just like the ones in Yu-Gi-Oh have, you have a more limited one, you have a limited card pool, and two, you have a limited amount of cards in your deck, because in EDH in EDH we
yeah,
have a
there, it's a
hundred
lot,
cards.
right? It's
We have
it's
100 cards. That's why
it's a
people
hundred
don't,
one-offs.
because it's a hundred of singleton cards. So
Yeah,
it's fine. So in Magic, that's why people don't pay Ristic Study, which is people should pay Ristic Study, because people will keep digging within their 100 cards. In a limited format like Standard in Yu-Gi-Oh or whatever your version of Standard is, you can just filter how many cards in your deck, 40 or 60, how many?
40 at the very
40.
least.
40. Then it means if you could get 5 cards out of it, let's say 5 special summons, that's five. The chances of you getting one of your multiples that could help you win the game is exponentially higher.
Yeah,
I can
it's
see
too
both
much. It's
plans.
in a way it's too for TCG players. It's too much, but for
Mm.
OCG, yeah, we it's a ride or die card. It's one of the cards that should be in every competitive deck, except for
Okay.
maybe control decks. Some control decks that are heavy on trap cards, they don't need this.
Mhm.
Like, we're gonna just stun the hell out of you. We don't need card advantage. Our one trap card will just
Hmm.
screw up your plays like for the rest of the game. But yeah,
Uh,
this one is really busted, and I almost every deck I have in Master Duel right now has this.
mhm.
And right now I need to buy this. I need to buy this in the actual card game, but it's very expensive. It's like
How
let's
much is it?
say it's like at the very least it's $4 per card.
Oh,
But you rarely see that. You rarely find that because sometimes it can cost upwards of maybe like 20 to 50 bucks, 20 to 60, which is
okay.
too steep for a standard card for a card that's used in anywhere. So
I'll give you an idea of how powerful basically this is like Risk Study.
yeah, I understand it's the equivalent of it.
But I would say it is a Ristic Study. Ristic Study can be played in Vintage, in Legacy, or in Commander. Ristic Study right now hits around $35 for one.
Mm-hmm.
And that's not even the foil version of it. The foil
Yeah,
version is
is it a
300.
common? Is 35 a common?
This is a $35. No, okay. Now it's a rare. They from the recent reprints, they upped it to rare. But back then when it was still a common, because the reprints made it, of course made it go down a lot more. But back in the day, this was like a $1,500 card, and the foil version is like almost $400 for a
Mhm.
common. It was, it was broken. It is broken, and the original printing of this goes for around $85 for study. That's how powerful the card is
Hmm.
for card draw. So you can pretty
Yeah,
much see
see,
people just paying, oh,
we-
35 bucks. Yeah, you can just,
Westerners hate card draws. I would. That's how I see it sometimes,
no,
but it's
Westerners put,
fine.
Westerners put a price in card draw in
Yeah,
Magic.
they do. But it's
Hmm.
it's it's understandable, in a sense. But yeah, let's go with no. Let's go with the two land spells you shared. This is
Uh,
Gaia's Cradle and Sarah Sanctum.
okay,
And
so
wait. I just want to say, are these old school designs?
these are these
Vintage
are
design?
these are from the reserve list. These are cards that will never ever be reprinted in Magic's history because one,
Oh, that's
on the reserve list, and two, they're reserved for a good reason because one, they're ridiculously powerful. Cards like these will generally never be printed, and also let me give you an idea of the price. Guy's Cradle goes for 976 US. That's
what? How
USD.
much?
976 US dollars.
Oh my god, that's nasty.
That's nasty. Sarah Sanctum goes for a cheaper 341 US
Well, okay,
dollars.
wait. Are those foils even?
No, no, no. Those are just the normal. There's no foil version of these unless
Okay,
you look
okay.
for,
So
unless you look for the promo versions or something. Anyway, the reason why these cards are powerful because one, just to correct you, these are not land spells. Lands are not spells in Magic. You can play one of them per turn unless you have an effect that lets you play more lands each turn. The reason why they're ridiculously powerful and why I put this up as among the most broken cards in Magic, it's because of the fact that you will add for Grayas Cradle, if you're playing a creature heavy deck, you will
mhm.
add one green mana for each creature that you control. So if you have two creatures or three creatures in the battlefield, this gives you free mana. If you have four creatures, four. If you have a token deck, a tokenator deck, so you can
Oh
just
no.
all the creatures, this will give you a crap ton of mana. Let's go to Sarah Sanctum. So if you're an enchantress deck, and usually enchantment decks usually are green and white and blue, or whatever, add one white for three mana for each enchantment you control. These types of lands are broken in the sense that usually lands tap for one mana. There's the odd land that will tap for two mana, and like Ancient Tomb, it will tap for two mana but damage you for two life. But generally, lands only tap for one.
Mhm.
This can tap for more than one. So
Jesus Christ.
you can pretty much see like the longer the game goes, the more mana you'll get from these
Yeah,
limited.
it's like drinking either in Final Fantasy, refills your mana, sets you up for more plays. So this is crazy.
Yeah.
I know Yu-Gi-Oh doesn't care about replenishing life points. There's
Mhm.
even a deck that the lower your life points are, the higher damage output you do.
Yeah.
So they go from 8,000 to as low as like 13.
Yeah.
They just keep halving their life points. So I understand, but in Magic, mana is more important, I guess. Yeah,
It's very
having
important because it's our resource to be able to
yeah,
cast
it's like
spells.
it's part of your economy. It's part of your
We have
economy.
a mana economy, and the thing about it is that these are not banned in Commander, by the way. These are playable in Vintage, in Legacy, and in Commander itself. The reason why I put this up here because a Commander is a social construct, and there are power levels in casual Magic. Even though there are no power levels technically, there are a lot of online play groups and a lot of there's sort of a standard now for decks. Sometimes in online play, especially during the pandemic, people established you can't play Gaia's Cradle, you can't play you can't play especially Gaia's Cradle, you can't play Gaia's Cradle in any power level below high power Magic or CEDH. Because mid power decks, low power decks, battle cruiser, jank decks, any deck that has Sarah Sanctum just pushes their deck
Yeah,
straight up to
it's one
a
of those.
faster
I
deck.
guess.
Yeah,
In Yu-Gi-Oh, it's called splashable.
yeah,
Cards that can, you just have a few copies of it, and just put them there, and power level just
yeah.
you turn a pistol into a shotgun, in a
Shotgun, yeah.
sense.
Like Docs, the same can be applied for Darkseid, but Darkseid is not banned in mid at the very, and usually in mid power tables. Darkseid is not banned. Ristic Study isn't banned. But Gaia's Cradle, Sarah Sanctum, they just push your deck to a whole new level where if you're a certain if you're a creature tribal or enchantment tribal, there's no downside to this. You'll just get more. You'll be faster. You'll be able to set up your stuff a lot faster than everyone else can do. So,
Oh god, it turns rogue decks into meta, close
a-
meta.
a- and the worst thing about it, it's a land. There's not a lot of land destruction. Oh wait, there are land destruction cards in Magic. It's just that not a lot of people play them unless
Yeah,
you're in the
it's
cut.
like why would you go out of your way to put those, right? And
Because in EDH, people just want to play their stuff. So
Yeah.
you usually see land destruction at high power or CEDH. That's why putting this there is fair game. But then putting it in mid level decks where it can go from I'm a mill deck or I'm some jank strategy or putting them in our power levels. No one will put land destruction, so there's no way to remove this, even
You'll
if they're
turn
playing.
your jank deck into like a really annoying one.
Also, the reason behind power level tables because there's always rule zero. Like people always talk like, what kind of game are we talking about? Are we talking CEDH? Talking high powered?
Yeah.
Because we need to foster a sense of fairness, a self policing across the table. That we're here to play Magic. We just want to see what our decks can do, and it's for the health of the format. It's a social. The game is a social construct. So
Yeah.
if we sat in to play this kind of Magic, or you're good with playing mill, I'll play removal. I'll play this kind of deck, and if someone plays this, it's like you're playing in bad faith. That
Yeah, you're
we're basically pub stomping.
you're
And
breaking it's like an honor code, I guess
an
it's like.
honor code. Magic EDH survives in an honor code, and if you play this in a table where everyone's playing pre-cons, it's like you're pub stomping. Not cool, dude. Not cool.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, that's one thing that I think that's one thing casual Yu-Gi-Oh should do. Although I think casual Yu-Gi-Oh is pretty low power because there are a lot of casual decks. There are more
Yeah,
casual decks than meta decks in
yeah.
general. So like meta decks is like how many decks? Maybe 15 to 20, and the top 10 are like the highest, but that's rare. It's rare to have that many in meta. So like the rest that got nerfed, oh, that's now casual, and it's fine because they were nerfed enough to feel balanced, and there's a certain jankiness to them that makes them not meta. You know why they're I guess I'll say that's why I like rogue decks a lot because there's a certain jank to them, but still counters, like they can still show up in meta against meta stuff, like, or sometimes rogue is like a specific counter to a meta deck, a very specific counter. It's like the Achilles heel, but the thing is that's the only thing they're good for. But yeah, it's funny. It's funny. I love jank decks. I guess I like seeing jank decks do their thing. It's fun, and
Mm.
it's hilarious and fascinating the way they can do things. And they when they blow out opponents, like,
Yeah.
oh my god, holy shit, you're doing something.
That's why I love playing mid power level games in EDH because I can build decks because I usually build decks with a theme with a story in them.
Hmm.
Literally, they'll have lore in them, or like I built a Star Wars deck with just everyone is a Star Wars character. I'm like, so Rey needs to get her lightsabers, her equipment, just to get her equipment and her lightsabers and things like that. Or
Yeah.
I have a deck which is basically human tribal and all about we need to defend Emeria. Defend again, and I have a deck which is all the lands are called gate lands. Basically, there's a card in the deck called Maze's End. If you have 10 gates on the battlefield and you play the ability of Maze's End, you will win the game. And it's so hard to get 10 gates because you usually can't fetch for them. You usually can't search for
Yeah,
these
that
gates.
feels. But
So
yeah,
you need
I like that.
so it's like and all the cards in the deck defend Baldur's Gate. So like defend the gates, man the gates. I have cards like Gate Summit. Uh, basically everything that's like Gate Breaker Ram. Anything that has gate or has a gate art in it, I put it in the deck. Or I have a squirrel deck, which is all squirrels.
That's a
And
lot
I
of
think
fun.
it's stupid, it's fun, but that's why you play EDH because you can make stupid decks and still have fun with it.
But yeah, I do. But yeah, we should always give love to rogue or jank decks as much as
Mhm.
possible in any TCG because they're the happy
Yeah,
dopamine boost of the card game.
format. Yeah.
Apart
I'm
because
gonna make a
sometimes
horse deck. I'm gonna make a horse deck.
that,
Fill it with ponies, just for
that's
fun.
actually fun. Okay, number two is probably the most popular card in Yu-Gi-Oh!
It's my
Pot of
favorite
Greed.
card. Used to play it.
Okay,
Now it's banned.
okay. Back in the day,
Mhm.
every anime character in Yu-Gi-Oh! Up until GX uses
Yeah,
Pot of Greed. And it's like this is the unbricking strategy. Draw two cards, save my hand from being shitty, right?
yeah,
Because I think even in Magic, breaking is an issue.
Yeah, you can get
Yeah,
mana flooded. You can just get a handful of high mana cost cards. You're like, what the heck am I gonna do with this crap?
yeah, right. See, then you can't start anything with a bad hand, and
Yeah.
basically Pot of Greed, draw two. It's also known in West as +1. Anyway, okay, but essentially, drawing two new cards, is very
Or
powerful
three.
because, example, you have a combo starter. You have a starter, you have an extender in your hand, but the thing is, they can get negated because there's like a ton of trap cards in front of you. There's
Mhm.
negates in front of you. But if you draw two cards and one of the cards you draw is a board breaking card that destroys spells and traps or destroys monsters, you can go into your combo seamlessly. Or if you're looking for a missing piece in your combo, just draw Pot of Greed and you're safe.
Mhm.
That's why it's problematic. And also that the fact that it's only 3 words in that draw two
Yeah.
cards and there's no once per turn, you can activate 3 pots of greed,
Mhm.
gain advantage, and just go ham. It's busted.
Mhm.
And okay, if there are people who will argue, what if every deck can at least run one?
Mhm.
It's the same argument as the Pretoplant Verte Anaconda argument na sure you make your deck powerful, you make your lower tier deck powerful, but it makes every other deck broken, busted,
Okay. Mhm.
and then you just get slapped for doing it. So
Yeah.
yeah, Pot of Greed is not gonna be unbanned anytime soon. And also, to since Pot of Greed is busted, Yu-Gi-Oh actually did cards different pot cards to balance this out. They added cost to it. Pot of Desires is a very powerful one. It's a draw two, but you banish 10.
Okay.
In a 40 card deck, that means banishing 1/4 of your deck.
Uh.
But you draw two cards that can give you advantage to win the game or recover. So
Yes.
there are times that the 10 cards you banish are one-offs, which will kill your. It's a gamble, but the thing
Yeah.
is,
Mo, yeah.
there's a sense of fairness on using it
Yeah.
at the very
Yeah.
least. There's also Pot of Extravagance and Pot of
Yes.
Prosperity. Pot of Extravagance banishes 3 random cards in your extra deck, 3 to 6, 3 or 6.
Yeah.
Banishing 3 draws 1, banishing 6 draws 2. And the gamble there is you don't know what you banished. And sometimes the decks that use it don't care about whatever they banish in the extra deck because they
Mhm.
won't use it. They'll just use the extra deck as like a bank.
Yep.
So which is fine. I like that mechanic because most people use life points as payment. But what if you use your
Yeah.
extra deck as like payment? That's nice.
Yeah.
That's a resource.
Uh,
Pot of
Life is a
Desires,
resource, they say.
yeah.
Life is a resource.
Pot of Desires naman banishes 3 to 6, but you can choose it.
Mhm.
But the thing is, if you banish 3, you excavate 3. You
Mhm.
see the next 3 cards on your deck. You get one, and the other
Mhm.
2 cards that you don't excavate go to the bottom of your deck.
Okay.
Same with 6. You look at 6 cards. You pick one of the 6. The other 5 go bottom, and you select the order. But I noticed in real life in TCG OCG, no one cares about the order. You just slap them at the bottom because you're gonna shuffle the deck anyway. After, but
Mhm.
yeah, there are many ways that Pot of Greed has been balanced already.
Mm.
There's also Pot of Duality where you excavate 3, draw 1. But the thing is, you can't special summon for the rest of your turn. So
Mhm.
that's fair. That's a punishing
Yeah.
cost sometimes. So
I wish we had this in Magic. But in Magic we have a lot of draw stuff as well.
yeah,
But like
it's
you said, there is usually a cost to these things. Like there's the and usually the fastest draw spells in Magic are 1 drops. Like it's a cantrip. So we pay one. But then there are cards like Sylvan Library in green, which is basically draw 3 cards, and then for every extra card outside of your draw step. So basically, you can keep one for free, but if you want to keep over 2 cards, you have to pay 4 life for each card.
I
But
think
the
I've
nice
heard
thing about it,
Sylvan Library from a lot of Magic people.
yeah. But the nice thing about this is that even if you draw all 3 cards, you can rearrange the top two. So
Oh man. So
you have
you can sequence your play.
you can
Okay, that's
sequence to
cool.
play. And what's nice about this is that there's something called card selection. You can top deck your cards. You can
Yeah,
card select your
okay.
top deck. So there are ways to
Okay.
go about it, and there are very cool. So yeah, there's always a cost. And besides, like we say, life is a resource. In black, pay one life to draw a card, or like there are those effects magic. It's like there are 40 hit points for in a commander game, and
Yeah.
you could life gain that way and keep paying life as a resource. There's a card called Bola Citadel, which is basically an enchantment. It's a 5-drop enchantment. I think 2 black, 3 generic. Sorry, 3 black, 2 generic. And then what it does is basically you can look at the top deck at any time, but then you have to pay life equal to the mana cost of the card that's on top. So it's
Okay,
like,
so that's
for example, if you have 40 life and then you look at the top, oh wait, I can play this. I'll pay 2 life, play this. I can still play this, pay 5. I can I can
see.
keep using life as a resource until I hit my combo piece. Or I
But
hit
yeah, I
something that
but
really
yeah, I
life.
think that's what I love about TCGs. The economy aspect to it is it's
Yeah.
really
Figuring
fun
out
because
it's like a
yeah,
puzzle box.
because there it's either you're being efficient with your resources or straight up gambling to go for big plays. So
Yeah.
it's either or. It's that's and it expresses your play style. So it's an
Yeah.
expression of how
Yeah.
your mindset is in the game. So that's really cool.
Yes.
Okay. Now we go to our number one. For the number one MTG broken card, it's Mana Crypt.
Yes. Mana crypt. Okay.
Okay, I already see how broken this is. This costs a zero.
This
It's
costs
free.
0. And people say, "Oh, what if you lose the coin flip? You'll deal 3 damage." Now, on one hand, it's funny seeing a player die to their own mana crypt. It's like, yes, lose the coin flip, die, take 3 damage. But on the other hand, the reason why cards like Mana Crypt or Mox Opal, Mox Sand, now the Moxes are broken. Mox Diamond is basically it's a 0 drop when you play it. You pitch a any land to your graveyard, and you can add 1 mana of any color. Mox Diamond, Mox Opal, those Moxes are incredibly powerful. The reason why Mana Crypt is powerful because one, a lot of games ban it unless you could play it in high-powered games or CEDH games. The reason why Mana Crypt is number one on my list because you play it for 0 and you already have 2 mana in your mana pool. Now, think of it this way: people usually play another card in their decks. It usually goes in all precons. It's called a Soul Ring. Soul Ring is basically it's a 1 drop that gives you 2 mana, doesn't damage you. So usually a God Hand in Magic would go like I play a land, tap 1, play that Soul Ring, play that Mana Crypt, tap the Soul Ring for a 2-drop mana rock like Mana Crypt, and tap Mana Crypt for another Mana Rock that will give you 1 mana. So by the time you hit turn 2, I play a land, you have two mana from your 2 lands, 4 mana from your Mana Crypt and your Soul Ring, an additional 2 mana from the Mana Rocks that you get. You have 8 mana to spend on turn 2. A lot of the more broken cards in Magic isn't because they give you a lot of draw or what have you. I think these cards are broken because they give you the tempo of the game just swings so much to your favor. You have so many resources that you outpace everyone, and that's why it's one of the most powerful cards and most sought after cards in Magic. Mana Crypt is still is a very very expensive card. I think it is. You know what? Let me give you
Let's see the ballpark cost.
the ballpark cost of a Mana Crypt. The cheapest version of it is $179,
It doesn't
and it
sound bad, but it just goes up though.
just goes up from there. The showcase version, the showcase version with a nicer art is 287. All the prints even more insane. So remember, this is $200. You could buy a Nintendo Switch. You can buy a Nintendo Switch Lite.
Yeah, that's what
Please.
my initial thought when I see trading card game prices. You know what? I'll just buy a console and be
You buy
happy
a
with
console.
this. Or
Exactly.
I'll buy an appliance instead of a card. I'll, I'll buy this rice cooker
Prices.
over this insane piece of cardboard. So
Yeah.
it's I guess that's actual economy right there.
That's actually coming right there. You own a Mana Crypt. You're like, whoo!
Oh
You
man,
can play.
sometimes I guess you can just buy one at a low price, keep it for a couple of years, sell it up, and then
No, that's the thing. I mean, reprint. Here's the thing. Like, there's this recent thing called Double Masters, where a lot of staples have been printed, and everything goes down in
Oh
price
yeah.
for the first 2 or 3 months, and then afterward, it will slowly go back up
Oh,
even
it just
higher
goes
because
back. Oh man.
no, it goes back or probably even higher because these are more exclusive version of the arts because they will never reprint these versions of the cards ever again.
Oh no.
So
That's
because
that's
imagine, let me give you an example. So for example, there's a card called Smothering Tide, where and it's usually a commander staple. It used to run for 50 $60, right? And now it's been reprinted, so it's now down to 25 $30, right? But then they made a showcase version of the art. Let me show you the showcase version. This is the showcase version. This one runs for $30,
Mhm.
30 to $38, and now it's slowly going
Cool.
back up in price. Now it's going up to 40, 50, and this is the showcase version from this set, which means they will never reprint the showcase version for quite some
Oh
time. It
no.
will go up to 60. This
I
will be the more
understand.
this will be the more attractive version of the card because it looks so badass.
It's not short printed. It's production stopped.
Yeah, yeah. Basically, they'll reprint the normal version, and you can purchase those. Fine.
Yeah. Yeah, like
But
I love. I think. Oh, if there was one thing that the OCG Yu-Gi-Oh OCG does better than Yu-Gi-Oh TCG, is
yeah,
that OCG is a bit more generous in reprints.
okay.
That's why cards here in Asia are cheaper than whatever Western part you're in because they reprint a good amount, a fair amount, so that keeps the card a bit pricey, but not too much that it makes the game inaccessible to players.
Not in Magic. No, not in Magic.
Yeah.
Actually, the Japanese versions of some cards are more expensive than
Oh
there because
no.
there's some
See?
cards. There are just some cards that are Japan exclusive only. That there are
No.
There's a Japanese version of Demonic Tutor. It goes for 100 plus USD.
No.
And
Okay. That's region exclusive ones are, yeah. That's insane.
it's insane. So it's
I
like
mean, there are some cards that exist in TCG and not in OCG and vice versa, but that's very few and far in between because
yeah,
they coincide with the sets. OCG gets the sets earlier because Japan is the one that makes the cards,
yeah.
and then a few months later, the translated English one is in the West. So
It's in this,
hey,
yeah.
you're now
That's
playing a
nice.
format 3 months delayed. But yeah, that's how it goes. Well,
I
yeah.
mean, I mean,
Uh-huh.
yeah, Pokemon is also like that way. Like they're just a couple of months behind the latest sets because Japan always goes ahead because they print it first in
Yeah,
Japan.
they
Then
print it, and it takes time to translate, rename the cards, make sure that the translated effects are the same as the original
correct?
Japanese effects.
Yeah,
And if there's oh yeah, TCG isn't just English. I mean, TCG has Spanish, German,
yeah,
French, Italian. I think so. Maybe even I think it also has Portuguese. So yeah, that's like half a dozen languages at the very least you're doing. So yeah, just good luck with that. Like no wonder they're like 3 months behind always. At the most
they're
3 to 4 months behind. But okay. I guess we'll end with the most broken card in Yu-Gi-Oh history and
what is it?
most
Ah,
broken card right now. Graceful Charity. Okay. People would ask, why is draw 3 discard 2 more broken than draw 2? Okay, in old Yu-Gi-Oh, yes, it makes sense. Pot of Greed is better. But in modern Yu-Gi-Oh, when you discard 2, a lot of cards have graveyard effects.
I see.
So they trigger when they're sent to the graveyard. Or when they're in the graveyard, you can activate their effect. Though that's two different things. You can choose to activate it or they instantly do it when they're sent. Okay, and that's bad. There's this deck in OCG right now, Tier Elements. Their their goal is to mill their own cards, and when they mill, there's that means you mill multiple graveyard effects, and their
Hmm?
graveyard effects is fusion summon, and that means they can do it on the opponent's turn. They can
Oh,
lock you down on your own turn, and basically screw up your day, screw up your game. So yeah, this is busted for just for that fact alone. If tier elements have access to this card, they're gonna have a field day. That means they're gonna be the best deck in Yu-Gi-Oh! They're gonna be one of the best decks in Yu-Gi-Oh! History with this. They're almost are. They almost are. Um, they're like tier zero right now in OCG. Tier zero is like 50 to 60% topping rate in tournaments. So that's
Mm,
busted. There was once a deck in Yu-Gi-Oh where all of the top 32 decks is a variant of the same archetype. So the
damn.
okay. But yeah, Graceful Charity is busted because if you draw three, you discard two, and also you choose what to discard.
Choose, exactly.
The
You
fact
can
that
pick
you
and use
choose
that stuff.
the fact that you choose and it's not random because although even if it's random it should be banned. It should still be banned. But the fact that you can choose, you have the power of choice. um you can you can choose a card that you discard but it can revive itself back, so it doesn't, it's just you just no consequence. Or you can just mill two of the most powerful graveyard effect cards you have and just go plus out of it. You draw more, you gain more. So it's really busted. And
Hmm.
yeah, you it's a powerful it's a powerful card. And I
Yeah.
guess this is the reason why ban lists exist. You know, we prevent broken cards from ever happening again. And yeah, you know, we
Uh,
just don't want.
and even if there's a ban, even if these cards aren't banned, and some of the stuff that I mentioned are not banned, there's a reason why people there's sort of a cautionary tale, and that's what there's sort of a cautionary tale in terms of why playing these would make a game unfun for you and other
Yeah.
people on the pod or on the table for that matter. Because Magic, or Magic or Yu-Gi-Oh, you can play kitchen Magic, kitchen Yu-Gi-Oh, where you can play
Yeah, you can
any
play.
card that you want.
There's even a deck type called Kitchen Sink in
Yeah.
Yu-Gi-Oh.
So
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 like you
basically,
just
at least with Magic at the very least, what I'd like to share with our viewers anyway, like even if you could run these cards, know that they're powerful for a reason, and they
people are
fetch your
gonna
price for a reason.
people are gonna hate you for running this.
People will not like you for running them. People will, some of the more egoistic ones will be like, yeah, totally respect that play, but know that if they get removed, don't be salty about it because they come with a certain power level, and play play to what the table wants you to play. What you agree on
Mhm.
to the table, play that, because pub stomping is not, it's just not cool, man.
Yeah, it's never fun in any game actually. In any
Yeah.
competitive game. Like pub stomping is just unhealthy. It puts off players. You lessen the player population by doing that because they'll either move on to games or completely quit. So
Hmm.
that's
Unless
not
you're not
something
happy
you
in
wanna
Magic.
see. That's not something you
So,
wanna see in any game, in any video game, trading card game. So, you know, the reason these cards are either banned, limited, or not used in good faith
mhm.
is because, you know, you have to make sure that you have to make sure that you still give the fun aspect of the game. Make it fun, make it exciting, you know,
and
make it
also
fair.
on and also yeah, on a point of fairness, and on a more important note, um always talk before you play. Rules, I always encourage rule zero, a real zero conversation on what do we want to play, because if you
Yeah.
want to play cutthroat magic, play cutthroat magic on a table that wants to play cutthroat magic.
Yeah, like whatever sweaty deck you have, just play it. Go. We're gonna agree with that. So
Mm.
I mean, yeah, that's the problem with Yu-Gi-Oh. Every deck is designed to be sweaty. Like any meme deck that's annoying the heck out of you is very rare, few and far between.
I
But
think
yeah,
I
that's
think
one
that's
thing.
the difference. I think that's the difference between a format that actually is a competitive format, which is Yu-Gi-Oh, because there's always tournaments and prizes and what have
Yeah,
you, and
it's
galore to be said.
especially I think OCG here is a bit more competitive heavy than TCG because um since the number of players here is not as much as the West,
Hmm.
the tournaments are not as many, and the tournaments that are happening are smaller and actually competitive, are just
Hmm.
official tournaments. So like,
Hmm.
no, you're. it's literally you have to catch up, or you have to catch up, or either wait for a different format where you can shine. So,
Yeah,
but yeah, I think that's what TCG Yu-Gi-Oh has an advantage. There's more rooms for casual play. In
yeah.
fact, they made vintage formats. They made two vintage formats that are popular. Goat format is the one you know, Neil. Is the old school
Ah,
Yu-Gi-Oh you know. That's like until the 2000 until 2005.
okay, good.
That's slow resource management Yu-Gi-Oh, and it's nice. It's people love that format. And then there's a new one that I discovered. It's called Edison. It's basically early 2000s Yu-Gi-Oh.
Okay.
Early 5Ds, the third series of Yu-Gi-Oh. So
Oh,
um, it has some powerful summons. It has the synchro ones, the white monster cards, but
yeah, yeah, the synchro. Yeah,
yeah, but
I
it's not bad. It's not but yeah, it's an old school format because people love that era.
mhm.
And I think that's where that I think oh yeah, by the way, those unofficial formats, they're used in official side events sometimes.
Okay.
But yeah, I think it's time for like Konami to recognize those old school formats because they're really fun. And if they're into like the money aspect of it, you know,
They
it
could.
makes the old cards even more valuable because they're being played more. They're
I'll
being
be
played.
happy to. I'll be happy to reassemble my Levia the Dragon Daedalus deck. I used to run
Oh
Levia.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
that's pretty much gold format. I think there should be a GX format as well because GX, the TCG people love GX because it was very creative. It was
Very creative.
it
It was.
was the
I
era
remember-
of like it was the
Yeah.
era of Jank being tier
Yeah.
one. So that's one
Yes.
thing. And I think it's also where good stuff was actually really, really, really insanely powerful because the one-offs in old school Yu-Gi-Oh! One Monster Reborn, one Regeki, one Dark Hole, one Pot of Greed, one
Oh
Great.
my god.
It's busted. It's busted. It's nasty. um, Unlike right now where a lot of them you run three off, which is standard. Run three off, two off, depending on
I
how much
miss
you want to see.
I miss Jinzo, man.
Oh yeah, Jinzo I think is still yeah, Jinzo is popular in the old school format.
Yeah.
Jinzo was like in GX era was like busted boss monster level because
Yeah.
you know trap cards are like the lifeblood of I mean trap cards give you like a layer of protection at the very least,
It is. Yeah.
and Jinzo just shuts down one third of the of the entire Yu-Gi-Oh card pool. So that's funny. But yeah, I think that's our conclusion. Those are the most broken Yu-Gi-Oh cards and Magic the Gathering cards in right now, or maybe in history. For Yu-Gi-Oh, it's probably in history. Um,
Mm. For
but yeah,
EDH, we don't know. For Magic, we don't know because
yeah,
EDH is
for
an
Magic
endless
because you
open.
know, how many cards are there in Magic? 20,000, 30,000.
A lot.
Yeah, that's it's in the
A lot.
it's in that range, and you know, it's hard to ban. It's hard to know which cards are going to be banned because you know there might be a card in 1995 that will bust open the meta in high
Mm.
level competitive play
Mm.
that you know no one just plays it because no one knows it exists. So
Uh, just this year alone,
oh no,
Devoted Druid not didn't have just one. Devoted Druid used to have one combo line with one card, but now for the past consecutive four sets, there are combo pieces that suddenly makes use of Devoted Druid to the point that you can make unlimited you can consistently make unlimited mana if you're in black, green,
see
and white. If you have Devoted Druid, so it's
see
like
that's one thing I think that's the great aspect of deck building. You try to spend hours upon hours finding
mm,
cards that feel janky, but if you fit it on the right deck, it's
yeah,
seamless. It's
yeah.
like it's apparently the iron that smoothens out your shirt. It's something like that. That's how it feels. Um, but yeah, that's episode number 117 of the Geeky Ones, and if you wanna, okay, you're gonna see this on the Facebook page, and
Mhm,
we're gonna schedule this for release on Facebook and YouTube. I think
mhm.
maybe even Twitch.
Okay.
And you can listen to the audio version of this on Anchor, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, and other podcast platforms for free. So that's really cool. And social media at the Geeky Ones on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Twitch, and YouTube. Very simple. TheGeekyOnes.com. We posted a recent blog about our hype for Conquest 2022, which is happening next week as of this recording. So really, really awesome. And I guess Neil, where can we find your which channel do you want to promote? Well, I
Uh,
know.
well, Neiljustplays is on Facebook and also on Twitch. I don't know when I'll be making content once again because real life has been incredibly busy, but keep an eye out soon. I'll probably be streaming a game or two or fighting games, especially on Twitch because I've recently gotten into DNF Duel and have
Oh
been playing.
yeah, I heard it's been doing well. It's a nice game.
It's a really great fighting game, and the latest Ori fighting stick from PlayStation is incredibly fun to play fighting games in.
Hori
So
makes the best one of the best fighting game controllers, so I'm not
yeah,
I'm it's not out of that range.
it's not
But
a
yeah.
surprise. Yeah.
Okay.
So
So for my channel
watch
right
out for
now,
streaming.
yeah, for my channel right now, it's Do This Jude. I don't stream that much anymore, mainly because busy schedule. And right
Same.
now I'm posting deck profiles of Yu-Gi-Oh Master Duel on my Facebook and YouTube channel. So um yeah, if you're interested in deck profiles, I recently posted my Adventure Rose Dragon Tenyi deck, which is like
Check that out,
um
guys.
arguably one of the best decks in the current Master Duel format. So if you're interested in looking at that, you can check out my pages. So,
And
but yeah,
could I pitch something if it's cool?
yeah, sure.
There is. I may not be active much on Neil Just Space. However, I am occasionally active in EDH Tambayan, the premier Magic the Gathering group, online group in the Philippines that has a Discord channel and a Facebook group. So look for
That's
EDH
actually really
Tambayan.
awesome.
We have over hundreds and hundreds of Filipino EDH players from all across the world. I play from Hong Kong. Some play from America. Some play from Malaysia. Some play from straight from
It's
Japan.
actually a fun.
Hallelujah!
But yeah,
Yeah.
remote duels are interesting and actually
Yeah.
help connect more players across the world. Really, really
And the
cool.
best thing about it, all you need is a webcam over your
All you need
your
is a
PC,
webcam that stares at your table for like hours on end.
and any power level is accepted. If you've got one of those cutthroat CEDH decks, join in. If you just picked up a pre-constructed deck from your local game store, bring it in. We'll be
Yeah,
more
it's
than happy.
it's always worth a shot. So that's really cool and makes trading card games more accessible to a larger amount of people. But yeah, let's go. That's episode number 117 of the Geeky Ones. Once again, thank you for listening and watching, depending on where you're hearing this
Do
from.
both. Do both.
Yeah, do both. It's gonna sound weird. We're gonna echo, but hey, it's more engagement from our end. So thank you so much for that. Yeah, and that has been the episode. We'll see you on the next one, and thank you and goodbye. So bye,
Thank you,
guys.
guys.